Hey y'all, it's Kim again. So this will be uh hold on, the JFK files. This will actually be video 6 of that section because I have to break some of these up. That way it's not so long of me speaking, but also doesn't cut me off, hopefully in the middle of it. But anyway, let's get going. So this is infill, exfil plans. The tentative date for the infiltration of A2 and 3 at La Hijira is 18th of May, 1963. The infiltratees will make their way to A3's father's farm, 1 kilometer from the coast. And from there, A2 will be provided with transportation to go to Guanabo, Guanabo or Havana. The exportation of A3 will occur 3 days after his infiltration. This arrangement, as yet, is not definite. The exfiltration of A2 is tentatively planned for 31st of May in 1963 at Punta La Hijira or Puerto Escondido. A3 feels that Puerto Escondido would arrive or afford a more secure point for exfiltration, but that a reconnaissance of the area would be necessary before final decision is reached. Prearranged telegram signal would indicate his preference. The above dates fall within a favorable moon phase for maritime operations. In addition, the infill and exfil schedule will allow for an extra margin beyond the 10 days, which A2 considers the minimum acceptable period of time to make his contacts. D is operational assets within Cuba. Following the successful infiltration of A2 and 3, the two men will work their way to a farm owned jointly by A3's father and Santos Suarez, located 1 kilometer from the point of infiltration. They will make contact with the manager of the farm named Pedro Cruz. Cruz is 35 to 40 years of age, is married, and has an elementary school education. He has no record of underground activity, and A3 will depend upon Cruz to make the following contacts in order to obtain transportation to Guanabo or Havana. Roman Hernandez, who lives a few kilometers away in Sierra del Arzo Bispo? Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Okay, Hernandez owns a small farm and a butcher shop in the area and also owns a truck. He's 37 to 40 years of age, married with 6 or 7 children. He was jailed for a brief period in the past for counter-revolutionary activities. If Cruz is unsuccessful in getting Hernandez a truck, he will contact Augusto Machin, I think that's how you say it, who operates a farm next to A3's father's farm. He's 45 to 50 years old, married, no children. Wife's name is Alicia. He was the mayor of Santa Cruz del Norte in 1954, and he owns a Jeep. See, another contact of A3 is Ramon Calzadilla, something Calzadillo, I don't know. Age 21, single, eighth grade education. He provided support in the form of food and safe housing to underground workers in the past. His home address is Corojo, number 1, Cotoro, Havana. He owns a butcher shop in the Cotoro section of Havana. And subject will be contacted by A3 if he needs to be safe housed in Havana. The following assets would be contacted by A2 after arriving in Havana, and they will be contacted in the order listed. Uh, their function will be to provide safe houses and vehicles for A2. A is Elsa Maria Negrin, 25 years of age, born in Havana. A2 first met her when she was a student at the University of Havana, majoring in social sciences. Presently, she lives with her aunt in Havana, and A2 has maintained correspondence with her. She's helped previously in providing safe housing for the underground. She also has a car. Pedro Iglesias Betancourt, age 55, born in Havana. He's a physician who lives and practices medicine in Havana. Iglesias has helped A2 in underground activities previously. He has a brother, two daughters, and a son now residing in the U.S. His daughters live in New Jersey and were last seen by A2 about 6 months ago. Subject was a member of Partido Pueblo Cubano, an anti-Batista group, and was a professor of medicine at the University of Havana up until 1961 when he resigned. Iglesias is also a close friend of Elsa Negrin. Sergio Mendez, age about 50, born in Cienfuegos, a former senator in 1954, was as well as the former head of the railroad system in Cuba. Subject was originally a member of the Atletico Party and claimed to be Cuba's confidant during Castro's takeover. Mendez has an apartment and two cars and has previously helped A2 in underground activities. He has a daughter who works for the government but is not sympathetic to the regime. The husband of this daughter, however, works for Che Guevara. A2 has maintained correspondence with Mendez. Isabel Minoco, age about 35, born in Havana, single, subject is an English teacher who runs a small private tutoring school in English in Havana. She was A2's English teacher and offered support to the underground. Minako lives by herself, has an automobile, and is a close friend of A2 and his wife. Gloria Bamciala, I guess, age 23 and 24, or 24, born in Havana, single mother and father deceased. She attended the University of Havana in Villanova from 1959 to 1960. She became a close friend of A2 during their student days in Havana, and she has no record of underground work. She lives in Guanabo Beach. During the summer, A2 felt he might attempt to contact her if she was living at Guanabo Beach in order to safe house A3 there if necessary. And three, the following two operational assets will be contacted by A2 after he is safe housed in Havana, and their function will be to spot Army officers disaffected with the Castro regime. Jorge Valls, age late 30s, early 40s, married. Subject holds the rank of captain in the rebel army, but is not presently on active duty. He was a friend of Castro's during the revolution, and A2 claims he still maintains some contact with Fidel. He also claims Valls has been working in a limited fashion against Fidel and was originally associated with the MRR and Monte Cristo groups. Val's primary interest has been trying to organize his friends within the rebel army against Fidel. A2 feels Valls is a very discreet individual who has not been identified as an anti-Castro organizer by the G2. A2 claims to be a close friend of Val's and trusts him completely. A2 saw and talked to Val's in 1962 prior to his flying out of PB Rumen as a refugee. Jose Duarte Oropesa, age early 40s, served in the U.S. Army during World War II. According to A2, Duarte has made commander of the 5th Military Districts by Camilo Cienfuegos. Following the disappearance of Cienfuegos, was removed from the post and presently lives on an army pension as well as royalties from property confiscated by the government. He said Duarte started working against Castro within the MRP under Manuel Rey. For a time, he was the military secretary of the MRP and became quite involved in plotting against Fidel. A2 also stated that it was rumored at the time that Duarte was working for the MRP, that he was also a Cubark agent. Eventually, Duarte was placed on a G2 suspect list, but according to A2, Duarte was able to evade detection, subject to his good connections within the rebel army and revolutionary government. A2 trusts this individual and has confidence in him as a potential operational lead, in spite of conflicting reports which mention Duarte as an opportunist. A2 may also attempt to contact the following operational asset if he has an opportunity to make contact. Lester Rodriguez, age late 30s, early 40s, married, former member of the Partido Pueblo Cubano. He fought with Raul Castro in the Sierra Cristobal area. Following the Castro takeover, he served as head of one of the military zones within Havana province. Eventually, he was given lesser assignments, and A2 thinks he is now working in INRA, INRA, in Oriente province. He claims Rodriguez assisted his underground group during 1961 by supplying trucks for transporting weapons and materials. Cover and communications. 1. Cover. A2 will be issued documentation claiming he is an employee of a local brewery in Havana. A3, on the other hand, will be issued documentation as a bus driver within the city of Havana. Both will also be issued driver's licenses and additional items such as an immunization certificates, Cuban receipts, etc. The two men will also be outfitted with disguises. 2. Communications. Primary communications will be established through an SW system. Both men will be given SW instruction and will be issued accommodation addresses in Miami. This instruction and these addresses in turn will be passed on to the recruited assets in PB Rumen for use as the operation develops. Prearranged signals will also be devised for use by the team via telegram to indicate their progress and confirm their place and time of exfiltration. Both members will also be given an OWVL system to provide them with quick instructions in case of an emergency. F. Operational and security evaluation. The operational aspects of Phase 1 portrays a mission which is considerable potential but also considerable risk. The area of infiltration is within 5 miles of a cruise missile site and its accompanying radar. In addition, boat patrols are known to work this portion of the coast at frequent intervals. Once infiltrated, the team will not have to travel far before their first contact. However, A3 is leery of staying at his father's farm for any length of time, and he does not want his father to know of his presence in Cuba. For this reason, the farm will not be able to serve as his house. A2 plans on leaving the farm to the same day he lands. This presents the problem of what to do with A3. On approach is to take A3 to Guanabo or Havana and safe house him. This, however, may jeopardize the operation because A3 lacks the maturity and patience necessary to stay put while A2 goes about his business. He may take advantage of his visit to Havana to undertake a clandestine assignment on his own. When A2 and 3 step ashore in Cuba, control will vanish. Fortunately, A2 has a sufficient source of judgment to go about his business competently. Unfortunately, A3 gives no such indication. For this reason, an attempt will be made to steer A3 towards developing assets around his father's farm with maritime reception capabilities. A2, on the other hand, appears to have sufficient number of supporting assets to provide for his safety while in Havana. However, he has not seen Valls and Duarte for over a year. In addition, both men are presently outside of the Cuban Army organization, and this position may dampen their effectiveness in recruiting within the Army. Station reports on Duarte conflict with A2's evaluation of this man. While there is no evidence to verify that Duarte is pro-regime, there has been a recent report on him from AMLEO3, which claims Duarte is an opportunist who might work for the highest bidder. A2's rebuttal to these remarks is that Duarte has assisted him in the past, and when the chips are down, he continued to aid him in his underground activities. This still leaves a question mark next to the worth of Duarte, which unfortunately can only be resolved by direct contact between him and A2. There are other security implications which should be discussed in this evaluation. Both A2 and A3 cannot be considered truly security conscious. While safe-housed, A2 wrote a letter to a contact in Miami, which was to be transmitted by his case officer. The letter gave an indication that A2 was seeking contacts in Havana and conveyed the impression that a trip was in the offing. A2 has written several other letters not seen by his COs, which might have given the same impression. A3, on the other hand, talked quite freely about his operation to four friends in New York prior to coming to Miami and being safe housed. He explained that he was joining AM ICE 27 and AM Trunk 2 on an operation that would take them first to Miami and then to Cuba. Once there, they would go to his father's farm and begin to make contacts. A3 also stated that a man named Duarte would be one of their contacts. This loose talk, coupled with A3's attitude that QBARC exists only to serve him, makes him a marginal candidate for this operation. However, if A3 is exfiltrated 3 days after his entry into Cuba, the operation will gain his usefulness and eliminate some of the risk he presents. The above evaluation stresses the operational and security weaknesses in this operation. In contrast to these weaknesses are the positive considerations of the mission. A2 has the intelligence, competence, and confidence to approach and recruit two assets with the potential for developing anti-regime operations at a high level within the Cuban Army. The results which these anti-regime activities can accomplish is a matter of conjecture, but it appears that they carry potential. Nevertheless, if the operation continues, it will bear close watching in terms of security and control for these factors will jeopardize the operation as well as QBARC's position if not properly contained. And for phase 2, AM Trunk personnel, AMI's 27, senior member of the AM Trunk group, is a 41-year-old Pee Wee Rumen citizen from a wealthy, high-class family. His father, now deceased, was a prominent individual in law and politics and was at one time a senator. A27 himself graduated from law school in Havana and was a practicing lawyer. In 1959, he became legal advisor to Camilo Cienfuegos. Following the disappearance of Cienfuegos in October 1959, A27 began to engage in counter-revolutionary activities in May of 1961, at which time he held the position of Undersecretary of Public Works. He felt that his underground activities had come to the attention of the government, and he took refuge along with his wife in the Venezuelan embassy. He was given safe conduct from the embassy to PB Prime in late 1961. Subject is intelligent, articulate, and highly motivated. He has some experience in counter-revolutionary activities and has demonstrated an excellent capacity for learning clandestine techniques. He has a very large ego and aristocratic pride. is very sensitive and quick to take offense. He's frank to state that he has a low opinion of Cubark, that he's not a Cubark agent, and he deeply resents any implication that he's working for Cubark. He states that he is working for the overthrow of the present regime in his own country and that he will accept Cubark aid and advice, but will not accept Cubark control. His attitude, although not hostile, is frequently critical and he presents a difficult handling problem. AMI's 14 is a 26-year-old Cuban citizen. He's also a law graduate of the University of Havana. He's been involved much of his adult life in clandestine activities. Subject arrived by small boat in June of 1961 in PB Prime. He's highly motivated, is intelligent and objective, and has a very highly developed security consciousness, developed from his counter revolutionary experiences. From January to July 1961, he made 4 black exfiltration trips to and from Cuba and PB Prime and has an excellent knowledge of the northern Matanzas area. He is easy to work with and has evidenced little of the hostilities or anti-Cubark feelings shown by AMI's 27. AM Trunk 4 subject is a something-year-old male, I guess year-old fisherman from the probably Havana area who took refuge in PB Prime in February of 1963, a previously assigned A-14 in infills and exfills, and will be used as a maritime guide. B, task, make preliminary black maritime infiltration by a small boat onto Cinco Leguas Key, and then to contact individuals who formerly assisted AMIs in infill and exfil operations through contacts on Cinco Leguas Key, organize a rat line into the mainland, including making arrangements for transportation into Havana. Through the mechanism established above, move to Havana and obtain safe housing and operational support and make all necessary arrangements for subsequent exfiltration and future infiltrations. Approach and recruit 2 individuals with contacts among important military figures, establish internal and external communications, exfiltrate from phase 2, C, infiltrate, exfil, or infill and exfil plans. It is tentatively planned to infiltrate AM IS-27, AM IS-14, and AM Trunk 4 into Cinco Leguas Keys area on or about 23rd of April. Subjects will take a small boat with silent motor into the Keys area and remain in the area for approximately 3 days, during which time they will remain black, keep the boat hidden in the mangroves, and contact individuals known to them on Cinco Leguas. They will make arrangements with contacts at that point to reactivate contacts of AMI's 14 on the mainland that casually died. Map 40853, grid square 1747, and contacts in the town of Marti and Cardenas. Plans will be worked out at this time with these contacts for a second infiltration in the latter part of May, at which time AMI's 27 and AMI's 14 will begin to go into Cinco Leguas and expect to be passed on through these contacts to Havana. Subjects will exfiltrate by small boat on or about 26th of April and will be met by the parent craft in open water to the north of Cayo Cruz del Padre. In map sheet 408, 5, and then there's Roman numeral 4. All right, so that's it. So that's basically video 4, 5, and 6 of part 28, since I had to break them up. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good afternoon. Bye.